Austin Matthews just snubbed Connor McDavid and told him to fuck off in public, and this has got a lot of people talking. This season, the arguments and comparisons between Connor McDavid and Austin Matthews have been going around again. It doesn't help that both players are from media hotbeds in Canada. Austin Matthews is among the league's top goal scorers, while Connor McDavid is unquestionably the finest player in the NHL. His 60 goals in the previous season had made him the league MVP as well, but why can't they accept each other's differences? Well, hockey can't be fun if there are no rivalry every now and then. It's natural that comparisons will arise, and occasionally these guys use it as motivation to improve even more. Let's examine a few of the NHL's most memorable player feuds. Sidney Crosby and Alexander Ovechkin. Both players have been compared by the media and NHL fans ever since they were selected first overall in 2005 and 2004, respectively. And further oddity is that both players have played their whole careers for the same teams, which adds even more significance to each Penguins versus Capitals game. We've witnessed historic playoff series and Stanley Cup raises by both players. Both Crosby and Ovechkin are first ballot Hall of Famer. And when everything is said and done, Ovechkin may hold the record for most goals scored in NHL history. Despite not being great friends, the two have acknowledged that they respect one another both on and off the ice. The NHL's Crosby-Ovechkin era, which featured two of the league's most iconic players, is beginning to draw to an end. Without a doubt, it will rank among the greatest rivalries in history. Connor McDavid and Austin Matthews. Is this the NHL's newest and greatest rivalry? Since their entry into the league, McDavid and Matthews, the Gretzky and Lemieux of today, have also been stomping all over the league. Since Matthews plays for the Leafs and McDavid for the Oilers, it's even more significant for hockey fans in Canada. The sole issue? Off the ice, the two are truly close friends. Due to their separate conferences, Toronto and Edmonton also don't play each other very often, although it's possible that they may eventually meet in the Stanley Cup Finals. Our greatest chance to witness McDavid and Matthews competing was during the COVID-19 bubble, when an all-Canadian division was established. However, as of right now, the competition isn't as intense as it was between Crosby and Ovechkin. It is not good news for the rest of the league that the two have been training together over the offseason and sharing knowledge. Until the two compete in the playoffs, their rivalry will probably resemble that of Gretzky and Lemieux more than anything else. Nevertheless, as hockey fans, we know the league's future is in capable hands, even if they will undoubtedly be compared to one another for the remainder of their careers. Wayne Gretzky and Mario Lemieux. Is there a higher standard than Gretzky and Lemieux? The two superstars ruled the league in the 1980s and 90s, together being perhaps the greatest players to have put on cleats. Due to a string of injuries and a year out due to non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, NHL fans have always been left wondering about Lemieux's full potential. However, it's safe to assume that he wouldn't have surpassed Gretzky's record for points scored. Because Gretzky played most of his career in the Western Conference and Lemieux spent his whole career in Pittsburgh, the two seldom faced off. However, Lemieux considered the 1987 Canada Cup, when they played together for Team Canada, to be the pinnacle of his career. The two got along well right away and collaborated to achieve a number of significant objectives. Sean Avery and Martin Brodeur. The little memories we have of the tremendous pest Sean Avery will probably make us giggle. He had a brief rivalry with New Jersey Devils goalie Martin Brodeur during the playoffs. The Blue Shirts made every effort to frighten the Hall of Fame goalkeeper during the 2008 Rangers versus Devils playoff matchup. Sean Avery was one of many who took matters into his own hands. Instead of shielding Brodeur the conventional way during a power play, Avery turned to confront Brodeur directly. Then, in an attempt to block Brodeur's vision, he began to wave his stick in his face. It appears to have been effective because the Rangers prevailed 4-1 in the series. It clearly disturbed Brodeur, as he declined to shake Avery's hand after the show concluded. The NHL did enact what is now referred to as the Sean Avery Rule, which prohibits players from waving their sticks in goalie faces. Despite the passage of 14 years since the historic game, Brodeur and Avery are still fierce competitors, and it's probably safe to assume that they don't exchange Christmas cards. Chris Draper and Claude Lemieux. Few rivalries between teams have ever been as intense as the legendary one between the Detroit Red Wings and Colorado Avalanche in the late 1990s. Both teams were not only leading the Western Conference, but they also had a roster full of players who would go on to become Hall of Famers. Benches clearing clashes and even goalkeeper fights between players like Mike Vernon and Patrick Roy typified their games. However, none of the hits more encapsulated this animosity than Claude Lemieux's backhanded check on Chris Draper. The hit occurred in Game 6 of the Western Conference playoffs in 1996. The AVs went on to win the series and defeat the Florida Panthers to win the Stanley Cup. Draper had fractures to his nose, orbital bone, and jaw. In the infamous turtling incident of the following year, Draper's teammate Darren McCarty took matters into his own hands and beat Lemieux. Even now, there is a little additional heat when Colorado and Detroit play each other. The hit is still among the ugliest in league history. Maurice Richard and Ted Lindsay. Maurice Rocket Richard, who is arguably more remembered for his fights with Mr. Hockey Gordie Howe, maintained a rivalry with fellow NHL Hall of Famer Ted Lindsay until Richard's passing in 2000. Richard and Lindsay, who were both flamboyant and violent by nature, would frequently set aside their celebrity to fight when they got together. Richard became enraged with Lindsay after Lindsay publicly said that Richard ought to have received a life sentence for his involvement in the violent altercation with Boston that resulted in the Richard riots. Lindsay has even allegedly claimed that they met later in life on a beach and exchanged glares while standing apart. Now, this is a crazy one. What do you think about this? Do you think the rivalry is worth it? Ty Domi and Ulf Samuelsson. With their respective murky pasts, it's unlikely that Ty Domi or Ulf Samuelsson are totally innocent in a long-running rivalry that began with Domi's ill-advised shot on October 14th, 1995. Domi blasted Samuelsson straight to the ice with a frightening knockout sucker punch while vying for position in front of the New York Rangers net, earning him an 8-game suspension. Domi said the attack resulted from Samuelsson's taunting, in which the Swede called the small enforcer Dummy, which sounds a lot like his own last name, Cal Gardner and Ken Reardon. One just needs to examine the 1940s rivalry between Cal Gardner and Ken Reardon to witness the extent to which hockey has grown comparatively soft over time. Late in the 1947 season, Gardner gave Reardon a cross-check in the mouth, which started an epic tale between the two that included a fight involving fans and a vicious attack by Reardon that cracked Gardner's jaw. The tete-a-tete became so bad that following the attack on Reardon's fractured jaw, NHL president Clarence Campbell made him post a $1,000 bail promising not to hurt anyone again. Even when the obvious violence subsided, the two men's differences persisted long after they retired. As we conclude our journey through the intense rivalries that have defined the NHL, we want to turn the spotlight to you, the fans. Which player feuds have left you on the edge of your seat? Are there any iconic clashes we may have missed in this video? Let us know in the comments below. Your insights and experiences add a vibrant layer to the rich tapestry of hockey history. If you've enjoyed this deep dive into the world of NHL player rivalries, don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe to our channel for more thrilling content. Hit the notification bell to stay updated on our latest videos as we continue to explore the passion, drama, and unforgettable moments that make hockey the incredible sport it is. We appreciate each and every one of you for being part of our community. Your engagement fuels our excitement to bring you more compelling stories from the rink. So, keep those comments coming, and let's keep the conversation alive. Until next time, hockey enthusiasts, stay pumped up for the game we all love.